had this fiddle leaf fig. The only thing I can tell you about fiddle leaf figs is they're fiddly, right? And I don't know what I did to it, and I think I've talked about this before, but I don't know what I did to it, but all the leaves fell off it and it looked dead. So I went to my friend, Greg, and I sent him photos and said, is it dead? What should I do? I think it had one leaf on it at that stage. And he's like, prune it right back, savagely. I'm not very good at savagely. But anyway, I did it. And it looked dead. I kept going and, yeah, nah, looks dead to me, no signs of life. And all of a sudden, I was diligent, I put fertilizer on it, I didn't overwater it, and I should have bought a photo of it. But it looks amazing. Everyone that comes to my house, I'm like, come, look at my fiddle leaf fig. Look at me. I'm so good at this. Anyway, that's spring. It brings freshness. Things that look dead come back to life. And I love that about this season. We had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago now to go to the coast for a few days. Who loves the coast? I love the coast. And we got this great apartment at Burleigh, and it had literally 360-degree views of the coastline. You know, it was beautiful, and I love the beach. The beach is my happy place. There's just something about the beach. And I love to, for anyone who knows me, I'm kind of an all-in kind of a girl. So we were at the beach, and the first day I was like, okay, I'm going for a walk. I'm going for a walk on the beach, getting my feet in the water. It was freezing, just by the way. And I'm going to walk, and at Burleigh, you know, they've got some lovely walks. You can sit. There's coffee shops all along the way, so you can stop and get a coffee really early in the morning. It's awesome. And went for a walk, and I noticed a sign that I'd seen last time that I was there that had, like, Tai Chi and yoga community classes in the park on the beach. And I'm like, I'm so going to do that. And the second day I was there, I got up, and I went for a walk, and I got a coffee, and I really enjoyed it. And then the third day that I was there, I stayed up too late at night, I ate too much good food, and I woke up the next day and I was like, oh, I think I'll just sit on my balcony today because, you know, I can see everything. So instead of being in the Tai Chi classes and the yoga classes, I watched them. They were very good. Very good, from the comfort of my armchair on the top balcony, 15th floor, looking over it. And I kind of thought, this is okay, I'm going to give myself a day off today. I'm just going to, you know, I'm on holidays. Who says I have to go out? The day before, we'd gone to the beach, and Chris had somehow talked me into swimming, which was, I got to tell you, freezing. But it was invigorating. That was probably a good word. But we lied on our towels in the sun, and the sand was warm. It was lovely. And then, so I had that one day. And the next day I got up, I was like, you know what? Kind of enjoyed sitting on my balcony yesterday. I think I might just send Chris out for a coffee, and I might just sit on my balcony. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sitting on the balcony. Hear me in this. And the next day, I was like, it was kind of warm on the balcony, comfy chair. I dragged a chair out of the laundry. I'm not sure that you're supposed to do that in a rental, but anyway. Dragged a chair out. It was very comfy, and I observed life, people walking their dogs and, you know, doing their yoga and running on the beach, all the surfers, and, you know, it was great. And then I had this moment where I thought, dear Lord, I have moved from a participant in my holiday to an observer in my holiday. I never want to be an observer in life. I always want to be a participant in life. And then I started to look at the last few months, and I thought, I'm an observer in my own life. Now, my life is great, and there's lots of things happening, but at some point I had moved off the field back into I'll just let everybody else kind of do life while I just kind of hang back here and observe what's happening. It's not that I wasn't cheering. It's not that I wasn't excited. I just wasn't participating in my life. And I have a deep, deep conviction that life is to be lived. I've always had this conviction. I have a conviction that this is not a dress rehearsal, that this is actually our one go at life. And so I was really mad with myself for having missed 3 days of my holiday sitting, reflecting. I wasn't reflecting. I was just actually being lazy. Observing. I was mad with myself, and I was mad with myself that I had allowed my life to become an observation rather than a participation. And I want to encourage us this morning. I determined that I would not just live the length of my days, but I would live the height, the depth, the width, everything. I want to be in life because I have people in my world who are not, who are just existing and ceased to live a long time ago, and I vowed that I would never be that person. John 10:10 in the Passion Translation says this: a thief has only one thing in mind. He wants to steal, slaughter, and destroy. But I, this is Jesus, but I have come to give you everything in abundance, more than you expect, life in its fullness until you overflow. And I've got to say, I enjoyed my holiday, but I don't think I was experiencing what I could. Now, I'm not saying run out and run yourself ragged. I'm saying make sure you are participating in every area of your life. I had this revelation and I was like, oh, how did I get lulled into that? What happened to me that I stepped back in and started looking at life and not participating in it? And it happens gradually, I think. And I think it's one of the flow-on effects, if I'm honest. I've done a little bit of research about, what's happened in the global pandemic to our lives. And I think it's one of the flow-on effects to that. I think it's definitely one of the flow-on effects to our screen culture at the moment. Everything is so convenient. And I don't know about you, I know that we've been very, very, very blessed, particularly in Toowoomba, but also in Queensland as far as lockdowns and things like that go. We really, have had it really very good. But I'm still in meetings where there's Zoom meetings, and some of you maybe also. I find them really difficult because I'm really easy to distract. Like really, if there is a bug crawling on my screen, it has my attention more than what I'm supposed to be doing. I think our students, I've talked to a lot of uni students who've talked about Zoom classes and how difficult it is to engage in that. And I'm not saying it's not a huge bonus. Imagine what life would be like right now if we didn't have that technology. But like anything, it's something that we have to manage. And I find, and maybe it's just me, tell me if it is, I find it really easy to disengage. To just disengage. And I watch it. I watch the meeting. I was in a very important meeting a couple of weeks ago with some amazing women about some things that they're going to roll out in our nation. And honestly, it was a great meeting. I could not tell you for the life of me what we said, because I was observing it, not participating in it. I prepared my little piece that I had to put in, and then everyone else just spoke, and it went over my head. Is that just me? Oh, thank goodness for that. It's so easy, I think, if you're in a large, online meeting, and now none of you would do this, I know, but to turn your camera off and do other things. Lose focus. Move to being a spectator rather than a participant. Social media, and I think there's a great power in social media. There really is. Yeah. But social media is another one of those things that's enabled us on a whole nother level to spectate on other people's lives. Who likes a good social media stalk? Come on, don't leave me up here by myself. Oh, come on, there's more of you than that. I love a good social media stalk. It's like, oh, that person looks interesting. Let's go and have a look at them. Who hates it when they're private and you actually have to add them as a friend just so you can stalk their life? Okay, some of you are going, it's way too much. But anyway, so we can actually look at what people are doing, what they're wearing. What should I be wearing? I'll go for a bit of a stalk on social media. Where they're going, if they're going anywhere. What advice they're giving. I need to find out a bit of this. I'll have a look. All the while, and I had this realization, all the while I'm looking at all these people live these amazing lives while I'm scrolling, doing nothing, spectating on their lives. And I'm like, this is how it happens. We just start scrolling and everything looks way more exciting, and I'm becoming way more dissatisfied with my life right now. I remember how novel and fun it was last year, for you it was novel and fun, but also for me, when we did church online because we were locked down initially and we couldn't come out. Remember that? It was so novel. It was so novel for me. It was my first Mother's Day ever that I wasn't preaching. I was preaching, but I wasn't actually physically here, and we could actually have Mother's Day lunch. It was so novel, so convenient, so awesome. It was so awesome. And I think we've worked very hard to try and make that not only a spectator thing, but also a participant thing by our online hosts, by our online platform where you can make comments and connect with people, and we're working on it all the time. Why? Because I don't believe that church was ever supposed to be a spectator thing. It's not. We're the church. This is not the church. We're the church. And so I look at it and I think we are working all the time to try. So can I encourage you, if you're online today, or if you're online, and what I've loved about this season, because there are always benefits, is if you're not here, if you're sick, if you're away, we've found that way more people still engage in church life. But hey, give us a shout if you're out there so that we can actually engage back with you, get a conversation going, meet people, and keep it participation rather than being a spectator. I don't know about you, but I've found, and I don't want to bang on about this, but I have found life a little different to what I expected this year. When we looked at the pandemic last year, it was like 6 months. August, September, we'll be out. Then it was like Christmas, we'll be out. And here we are, less than 100 days to Christmas now, and we're still really in the same place. And so I found it a little bit difficult to feel about life how I thought I would feel about life at this point this year. When I look back and I think how I thought this year would look, it doesn't look anything like what I thought it would look last year, which is okay, right? It's okay, but it can leave you feeling a little bit blah. Because it's like, well, I can't really plan anything. I can't really, even going to the coast, it was like Friday, we were going on the Monday, and it was like, oh my goodness, we're watching the case numbers. Are they going to lock it down? Are they going to lock it down? Are they going to lock it down? I don't know. And we're just talking about traveling 2 hours. So, it affects all of us, doesn't it? It affects us. And the buzzword, apparently, of 2021 is languishing. I actually quite like that word. It's quite a cool word. Languishing. Now, languishing is the opposite of flourishing. So languishing is actually the opposite of what God intends us to do, what Jesus came to give us. He came to give us a flourishing life. Languishing has become the buzzword of 2021. It is the opposite of flourishing. It's the opposite of when you feel connected and purposeful. Languishing is when you feel lackluster or disconnected, but you're not in notable distress. So there's not a lot of stress, there's not a lot of pressure, you just feel a bit meh. And I don't know about you, but if I was to look at my year, and there's been some great things happen, from day to day, sometimes I just feel a bit, meh. Which is terrible, people. It's terrible. Languishing affects some of your decisions, behaviours, and emotions towards yourself, others, and the world. So it affects how you feel about yourself, it affects how you feel about others, and it affects how you feel about the world. It's the can't be bothered. It was me on holidays. Can't be bothered. Just can't be bothered to go in and go for a walk this morning. And I think we are living, message comes up, please lean in. It comes up. We are living in really uncertain, a constant state of uncertainty. We've spent the last year and a half hesitant to make plans because things change so quickly. We've all made holiday plans that have been cancelled. Some of us have missed weddings, births of grandchildren or relatives, family gatherings, or we've had them here and had, I think of Jaden and Steph just a few weeks ago got married and her family couldn't even be here to see their first daughter get married. Now, we've all had things that haven't gone the way we thought. So what happens is we lower our expectations so we avoid the disappointment. Well, I won't kind of set my heart on that because maybe it won't happen. And I don't want to be disappointed. I get it. Do you get it? Yeah. Have you done it? Yeah. Absolutely. I think we realize it. So I can talk about that and we can all go, I felt like that. But here's the thing. Realization is only the first step. Identifying what's happening is only the first step, and nothing will change unless we actually take action or execute something to change the way that we feel. And the problem with this thing is that we all feel like we can't be bothered. And so when I stand here and say, now we need to take action, half of you are going, I can't be bothered. And I knew that when I bought this message today, but I'm going to bring it anyway because I want to encourage you that we need to shake that off. Because it's not the way that we were intended to live. Jesus came that we would have life in abundance to the full till it overflows. And I am determined to do that. So I want to look at a couple of very simple, practical ways to re-engage our lives. Are you ready? You know I love practical. You know I love simple. This is not going to be brain surgery. This is really simple. First thing, focus on what you can do. What can you do? There are some things we can't do right now. We can't. And it's hard to plan anything, but we can't afford to lose the joy of the things we can't do for the things we... No, hang on. I knew this sentence was going to be complicated. We can't afford to lose the joy of the things we can do because of the things we can't. That's the sentence. We can't. We have to be... Do you want me to say it again? Okay. We can't afford to lose the joy of the things we can do because of the things we can't. We have to be able to change both our narrative, the way that we speak about our lives, our circumstances, our situations, and also our perspective, the way that we see it. Because the way that we see it is the way that we speak about it, and the way that we speak about it is the way that we experience it. Okay? So I want to look at Luke 19, the media team doesn't have this, so don't freak out. Luke 19, 1-10, it's the story of Zacchaeus. I love Zacchaeus. I don't know whether I relate to him because he's a man of short stature. I'm not sure. Anyway, here's the story. On his way to Jerusalem, Jesus had to pass through Jericho. There lived a very wealthy man named Zacchaeus, who supervised all the tax collectors. He was very eager to see Jesus and kept trying to look at him through the massive crowd. Anybody here that's had that issue who is not a 6-foot person? You're in a massive crowd. You can't see anything. You try to look through them, but you can't see. You try to find the gap. We've all been to things where it's like you go to like the theatre or something and you've got a great view and then someone who is tall, and it's not their fault, sits in front of you and you have to sit on your feet all night to see. So I feel Zacchaeus' pain. Okay, so he kept trying to look at Jesus through the massive crowd. And since Zacchaeus was a short man, and he couldn't see over the heads of people, he ran on ahead of everyone and climbed up a blossoming fig tree to get a glimpse of Jesus as he passed by. When Jesus got to that place, he looked up to the tree and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry on down, for I must stay at your house today." So he scurried, I love that word, down the tree and found himself face to face with Jesus. And it goes on, as Jesus left to go with Zacchaeus, many of the crowd complained, "Look at this, of all people to have dinner with. He's going to eat in the house of a crook." Zacchaeus was amazed over his gracious visit to his home and joyously welcomed Jesus. Zacchaeus stood in front of the Lord and said, "Half of all that I own I will give to the poor. And Lord, if I have cheated anyone, I promise to pay them back 4 times as much as I stole." And Jesus said to him, "Your repentance shows that today life has come to you and your household, and that you are a true son of Abraham. The Son of Man has come to seek out and give life to those who are lost." I'm going to tell you something about the sycamore tree. I looked up a sycamore tree because I'm like, this guy's a short guy. How big is a sycamore tree? They're really big trees, but they have very low branches, so that's how I did it. That's one of those curiosities that you've just got to explore. So I'm like, I'm a short person. I'm not sure I could scurry up a tree. I'm not sure that is something I could do. Okay. Zacchaeus was eager to see Jesus. Why? Because he'd obviously heard about what was happening around Jesus and the things that people were saying and the miracles that were happening and the life change that was happening. But his perspective was limited by his short stature. So he couldn't see through the crowd. He couldn't see over the crowd. So he ran on ahead, which I think is interesting because if he ran on ahead, and you think about it, because we have to think about this stuff, he actually would have been in front of the crowd, which means he would have been in the front row and been able to see. But that wasn't enough for Zacchaeus, and this is why I love him. He climbed the tree so that he would not only be able to see Jesus, but be able to see everything that was happening. He needed a fresh perspective on his life, a larger perspective so that he could get a bird's eye view. And I love this. He didn't focus on what he couldn't do. He could have come along and thought, that'd be right, I'm a short person, I can't see, I'm just going to be stuck back here and I might see his feet as he passes by if I look under everyone's legs. He didn't do that. He focused on what he could do. What he could do was climb a tree and get a better perspective. And his action, that small acknowledgement of something that he could do, opened up. And I think Zacchaeus climbing a tree probably thought that would go unnoticed. I don't think he got up there and was hanging like a monkey. I think it says it was a blossoming tree, so it had leaves and flowers, and he was probably quite hidden there. But for him, he wanted a different perspective. And that small action, that small step, opened up into an encounter and an invitation that changed his life. A life filled with possibility and hope, a can-do life. One small step that he could do, not overwhelmed by what he couldn't do, but taking the small step into what he could do. So what does that look like in the present season? It looks like do what you can when you can. Small steps at home. At home. School holidays at the moment. Yay for school holidays. I always love school holidays. At home, be present. It's so easy to come home and, it's been busy, you're tired, you've got to do dinner, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And so you flick out your phone and you scroll, or you flick on Netflix to catch up on your latest installment of whatever season of whatever series that you're watching. And we forget to be present. Be present. We can be present. We can be involved. We can be encouraging. Chris has talked over the last number of weeks about vision for your life. We can actually make some, if you might say, well, I don't have money to renovate my house or do my front yard. You can move your furniture. I do that all the time, too much to my family's disgust. It's in the middle of the night, they run into things. But you can paint a wall, shift your house around. It's amazing how good it feels just to shift your furniture around. Do what you can at work, because we are the life bringers. Because, the overflow that he talks about, I've come to give life to the full and abundance till it overflows. The overflow is actually about other people. That's why we need it. It's about other people. We're the life bringers. At work, be determined to be positive. And it's hard at the moment because there's a lot of negative out there. But there's still a lot of good stuff happening. There is. Be generous in what you say and what you do. Be life-giving. People are languishing out there. They're languishing. You have life in its fullness till it overflows at your disposal. At church, here we go, let's get personal. At church, I love this. I love it. I love it more when it's noisy and people are leaning in and people are clapping. A couple of weeks ago, and I'm not scolding anyone, I'm just making an observation, I was participating in clapping. I was the only one in the room. I'm 57 people. Seriously, if I can be enthusiastic, you can be enthusiastic. And I find it does when you participate in something, it brings ownership. It brings involvement. It brings a sense of, I am part of this. This is amazing. When it's flat, use your voice. This is awesome. If I stumble, you noticed before when I made a mistake in reading, how everyone got so encouraging. I love that. Let's do it all the time. Let's come in because, when you come and you participate and you go out of your way to encourage and clap, and I just feel like you leave feeling better because you've gone from being an observer, not that I'm saying you are, to a participant, potentially. Number 2, and I'm running along here. Number 2 is find joy in the moment. I have a clip. This is my favorite clip of all time. Can we watch the clip, people? Thank you.
Grumpy gills. When life gets you down, you know what you got to do?
I don't want to know what you got to do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Okay, it froze, but she keeps doing that. And she goes, la, 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 just keep swimming. In this season, we've got to keep swimming. But we can do it like old mate on the rock, Mr. Grumpy Pants. Or we can do it like Dory. I always want to be Dory. I know Dory is dorky. I know Dory is annoying, but she's always got joy. It's like, let's keep swimming, let's keep swimming. Or you can be sitting on a rock, be Mr. Grumpy Pants. La, 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 la. How much better is life like that? La, 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 la. I know. But honestly, how much better? If you're in a kind of languishing season, don't watch sad movies. Stop it. Watch the funny stuff. Hang around people like Dory, who is going to encourage you to have joy. We've got to be joyful. 1 Thessalonians 5:16 says, let joy be your continual feast. Which means what? It is available to us despite whatever season we're in. It's not about being ridiculously in denial and smiling like a lunatic. It's just about knowing things are going to get better and not having a peace that God is in control. Joy is powerful. It is powerful. It is a gift that we all have. It changes the way that you look at and feel about life. And it's never far away. Third point and last point. The thing that we have to do if we want to shake off the languishing is we have to trust God. We have to trust God. Jeremiah 31:25 says, for I will fully satisfy the weary soul. I will fully satisfy the weary soul, and I will replenish every languishing and sorrowful person. That is what he says. If you feel like you're sorrowful, you're languishing, what was the other one? Weary, then God has said he will fully satisfy you and replenish you. That is a promise. That is a fact. And in this season where it's just so easy to fall into can't be bothered, what's the point? Can't plan anything anyway because can't do anything anyway. And when sitting back and becoming a spectator in life seems appealing, and when we can't even see what the future looks like next week, we kind of have fooled ourselves into the thought that we were in control of all this anyway. And I'm so glad I'm not, because I'm not sure I would have an answer right now to what the way out is. But I do know this. I do know that I love a God, and I'm connected to a God, and I walk with a God who knows the beginning from the end, who says that when I'm weary and I'm languishing and I'm sorrowful, that he will replenish me, that he will fully satisfy me. I can trust him, and you can trust him too. No matter how you feel, you can trust God, because honestly, in this season, I feel like he's the only way out. I wonder sometimes for people, and I feel for people sometimes who don't have that sense of faith in their life, because it's the anchor to my soul. And we're in a storm, and our little boats are being tossed around and turned around, and waves are crashing over us, and we feel like we don't know which way is up sometimes. But that anchor, that hope, that trust that we have keeps us right there, secure, not moving, so that when all this is passed through, we're right there ready to keep going in the direction that we were going. Need to trust God. Need to trust God. And I think we can forget that. We can feel like, well, I'm in control of this. Well, we're really not. We just fool ourselves to think we are. Okay, are you good? Life is a spectator sport. Life is to be lived. Life is to be enjoyed. It's not to be endured. It's not to just exist. So if you feel like, or maybe someone around you, maybe you're asking for a friend, feels like they are languishing in a sea of uncertainty, focus on what you can do. Take a leaf out of Zacchaeus' book. Find joy in the moment. Channel a bit of Dory. La, 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 la. So you're going to get that stuck in your head now, and I love that. And trust God. Trust God. Why don't we stand together? I'd love to pray for you. Lord, I just thank you today. I thank you for the gentle encouragement and reminder that you have the whole world in your hand, that you are in control, and that we can trust you. I thank you today for gently lifting our eyes and our vision towards heaven, giving us a little bit of a kick up the pants, and encouraging us back into life, not just for ourselves, not for just our own enjoyment, but for the benefit of those around us, particularly those who just don't yet have a grasp on faith. Thank you this week as we go out in our homes and our workplaces, shopping centers, coffee shops, that we would bring the overflow, that we would be your voice into the circumstances and situations around us, that we would be determined not to be dragged under, but to drag people up. In Jesus' name, amen. And just while we're all standing, maybe you're here today and you're one of those people where you're like, I don't really have a grasp on faith. Can I just encourage you? It really is not a complicated thing. It's really just as simple as saying, this is what I need, and praying a short prayer like, God, Jesus, I realize that I want you in my life, and inviting him into your life. And, Rob's going to come and give voice to that and what you can do next steps-wise. But can I encourage you, if you want a life-changing moment, encountering Jesus and finding that life and that purpose and that joy and that passion is just one small step away. Oh, it's Sarah, not Rob. Sorry, Sarah is much better looking than Rob, but here she comes.
Sorry, I'm not Rob. Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah. And as Pastor Sue was can we thank Pastor Sue, actually? Because that was an excellent thought. I think it's exciting to think of life as not a spectator sport. Sorry, almost got you for a second. And if you were interested in knowing more about, who Jesus is, what it means to be on a journey, who is this God that's created life to overflow and be exciting and amazing, then we want to get a free Bible into your hands. They're at the Connect Hub after the service, and online your host is going to let you know how you can get one as well.